Speaking to the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman has floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaking on this bill and also on the other mandatory minimum sentencing bills we're going to be seeing today, in the same vein as our minority leader, you know, we hear a lot of talk in this place about our Bill of Rights. We hear a lot of talk about the Second Amendment. We've heard some talk about the First Amendment, at least part of it. The last couple of years, my friends on the other side of the aisle like to talk about the 10th Amendment. There's a lot of other amendments that are part of the United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and also the Virginia Declaration of Rights. The Bill of Rights, the one thing that is mentioned more in the Bill of Rights than anything else is juries. In the Bill of Rights, juries are mentioned 5 times. You can't be charged with a felony without a grand jury. You can't be deprived of your liberty without a jury. You have a right to a jury that's impartial of your peers. A fact that's tried by a jury can't be revisited by a judge. You also have a right to a civil trial by a jury. In the Virginia Declaration of Rights, juries are mentioned 8 times. The reason that these things are mentioned in our Constitution is because our founding fathers looked back at what they had experienced back when they formed this country and back when they formed this state. They were tired of being abused by a king. They were tired of being abused by out-of-control legislatures. They were tired of people above them telling them what to do. And what they did was they decided to impose a panel of people between the government and the people being accused so that the community could have an expression as to what they thought was right and wrong and how a community thought an offense ought to be punished. Because they had seen what a king had done to them, they'd seen what a legislature had done to them, they'd seen what out-of-control power had done. I've heard some talk also in this chamber about people wanting to protect criminals. There's nobody over here interested in protecting criminals, but there are people over here that are interested in protecting people's rights, that are interested in protecting the people from out-of-control legislatures and out-of-control governments, making sure that the rule of law in this state applies, making sure that it's not abused. And believing in somebody's right to trial by jury, allowing a jury to express its view of what an appropriate punishment is not protecting criminals. It's protecting the right of the people to speak out. There's been a lot of press in this country over the last 5 or 10 years now about how many people we're sending to jail. Our United States Senator Jim Webb proposed legislation to take a comprehensive look at this because it's what it's doing to our country and what it's doing to our people and what it's doing to our budgets. The United States has 5% of the world's population. We now have 25% of the world's prisoners. The number of incarcerated drug offenders in this country has risen 1,200% since 1980. Today in this country, we have 4 times as many mentally ill people in our prisons than we do in our mental health hospitals. All you have to do is take a look at our budget and look at what's happened to the prison budget in this state and what it's doing to our general fund and how much money is left for everything else because our prison budget is exploding. The reason this is happening, Mr. Speaker, is because of bills like this, other bills we're going to see, because those of us in this body think we're smarter than the people that send us here to decide what sentence an offense ought to carry. Mr. Speaker, these mandatory minimum bills need to stop. They're killing our budget. They're hurting our people. They're hurting our country in the eyes of the world. They're hurting the state in the eyes of the world. I'd urge the body to vote no.